Department Chair Emeritus for the SIU Automotive Technology Program. Here today to talk about our 66 Nova 3 drag race. The car idea was formed back in the early 80s. I came up with the idea to get more interest in the club by putting a drag car together. And we were lucky enough to find the 66 Nova from a friend of mine. He had media blasted it and set in the barn for a year, so it was pretty rusty too. So basically that was the beginnings of it. The car made a first trip down the strip in 1990. And with that it was with basically a stock 350 engine, a 400 transmission, and some real rough body work. We actually went to a body shop and went through their scrap metal to get some good hoods to cut metal off, to weld metal in the rear quarters and the front fenders to basically have a car that's one piece. And you probably see some pictures in this presentation. We call it a Rainbow Warrior. The first car had a rainbow across the back of it, and the body was white. We had to paint it white because it was so uneven, we didn't want to see the waves in the car. It's come a long way since then. From that stock 350, which run about maybe 0.10 seconds, it's a 9-second car at each mile. Now what we have is basically a good 650, 6.50 second 8-mile car. We went from the stock 350 to a 383, which is a 60 over 350. And still all the parts really weren't matched. The engine was kind of hodgepodge. It's whatever we could find, or whatever people would give us, or whatever we had a little bit of money to buy. But a little bit later on, we finally had enough money, and through the donations primarily of Chris Micah, he's one of probably about 40 people that have donated to this car. So I couldn't really go through the list in this presentation. If I did, I'd probably forget somebody. I mean, the number is very, very long. But now what we're running is a small block 400. It's a dark block, which is all aluminum block. It has a nickname of a rocket block. It was basically designed off the 50s Oldsmobile Rocket 350. That's why they call it a rocket block. On top of the rocket block, we have set airflow research 195cc aluminum heads. We have aluminum intake, comp special grind cam, Lanati bottom end on it. So rods and crank are all Lanati JE pistons. It's a very strong motor. Probably puts out around 500 horsepower on dyno. We dynoed it for the chassis, it was about 450. So it's got a few horse. Transmission behind that engine is still a 400. We have basically a manual valve body with a trans brake in it. And the manual valve body is shifted electronically with a carbon dioxide shifter, an air shifter. So it's a manual valve body that shifts automatically. We can dial in the times or the RPMs to make it shift when we want to. The chassis, we had it back half, that's what they call it. The back half of the car is a full chassis now. It has a 4-link rear suspension with coilovers. The front chassis is a Chris Alston tube chassis with rack and pinion steering. It's got Willwood 4-piston disc brakes all the way around on it. Still has a 12-bolt Chevy rear end with a 456 rear gear in it. It used to run a 488. We changed it to make it a little more drivable. The body work we did about 15 years ago. We got rid of all the patched up metal that we put together years before. Really, the only thing stock left on this car are the roof and the doors and the chrome. Nothing else on this vehicle ever came out or came in production in 66 Nova. So we've changed quite a bit over the years. If you consider since 1990 till now, every year we did a little bit more to it and make it a little bit better. So it wasn't an overnight piece. But the car is pretty consistent. It's runs its numbers. Students drive it. The kind of joke I make is students drive it, students break it, students fix it. So I mean, everything on this, the engine, the transmission, everything, students have a hand in building it. Everybody in the club's welcome. In fact, everybody at SIU, you don't have to be an automotive major since it's a registered student organization, it's open to the whole university. So anybody can join. And all you have to do is walk up and start attending meetings and be on the team. There's nothing special. Anybody can walk in and do it. Student drivers are picked by the NOVA team, the outgoing NOVA team, if you will. The drivers, we change every year. The drivers that lead plus the NOVA team vote on who they want to drive the next year. So it's to the point where you have to work on the car for a couple of years. You have to be involved with it. We want somebody that knows the car to get in and drive it, for one thing. So there's a little bit of selfishness in wanting the experienced driver in the car. At least they know more about the car. I've had more people with no experience get in the car and drive it than I have, like Derek, that's had experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it's usually the first time. And it's always funny, that first pass they make. They come out shaking like a leaf. I love it. That car will kick you in the butt.
Yeah. When I got out of it for the first time, my knees were
Yeah.
knocking into themselves.
I always ask for the ticket. I don't grab it. I just want to see the ticket shaking in her hand.